Okay, at the next step I assembled the motors. I didn't show it on video because it's really self-explaining, so there's nothing really complicated to do. Just make sure that you use the right screws. So in this case there are the smallest ones, because in the package for each motor you have one longer screw and one shorter screw. So if you put the longer one, it will hit the coil when it will spin, so just make sure you use the shorter ones. Center it well, so basically it is in the middle of this center fixation hole, let's say, and that make sure that it spins freely. Again, please keep in mind that how can I say, the motor fixation for the propellers, which are basically these screws, prop locks, prop adapters, how you wanna say, are with two colors, black and white, and according to the rotation it will lock in one way or the other. So for example, this one will lock to the left, so counterclockwise, like this it will lock because the motor will spin clockwise. So just put black here, and the white, okay, the silver here and here. Okay, because I don't want to put bullet connectors, because I don't have this tiny, I have only 3 millimeters. I will just, as a next step, use these pliers to basically remove the bullet connectors we have and solder them directly. I will put an heat shrink sleeve beneath, and I will just make a test and see if the motor will spin correctly. For those of you that don't know, these are brushless motors, and basically if they spin in the wrong direction, you just reverse any two wires that are connected, and then the motor will spin in the opposite direction. After I will solder this, I already marked all the wires from the ESC with maybe of C. 1, yeah, for this motor. 2, it's this one, yeah. 3, it's the right behind one, yeah. And 4, it's this one from here. Why? Because I already pre-routed my CC3D. I will use a FrySky D8R2 Plus receiver because it has, with the firmware update, it can read RSSI and it has already telemetry. So I already pre-wired the CC3D. I will show you also diagrams for you, for those of you that yeah, don't have time or maybe prefer to find it easier. Basically the receiver is connected here on this port where you can see input, and this one goes to the motors. As you can see here, top left, it's marked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but yeah, we don't need the hexacopter, so we need only from 1 to 4. Important, the upper pin, let's say, towards the edge of the CC3D is the minus, yeah. Then the middle one is the plus, and this one here is the signal basically. So be careful when you route the cables. Normally nothing really bad can happen because the plus is in the middle. So the other way, if you put it wrong, nothing really bad will happen, like having the plus on the outer side. Okay, what else I wanted to remind you is that, like I said in the previous part of the video, I usually keep only the upper left motor, which is number 1, with all the 3 wires connected, which means plus, minus and signal. For the other ones, I just remove the middle wire with the plus. So in the next part of the video you'll see it without. Okay, I'll solder the cables and we'll see us back shortly. Now after I soldered all the wires to the motors, like I said, one of them will be permanently, and in the case I already applied the heat shrink, and in the case that the direction of the motor will be wrong, I will have to basically switch any of the two wires. Of course the soldering is temporary, so when it will be confirmed as good, I will solder it better, but this is how was done so far. So after this is done, the next step is like I said, I pre-wired my receiver and the CC3D, and on this mock-up layout I will connect basically all the motor cables. So I will start with the first one, the second one, and then number 3, and finally number 4. So with this being done, I will not glue the receiver yet until I finally decide on the best layout in order to minimize interference between all the magnetic, all the basically assemblies that emit radiation, electromagnetic. For example, the VTX that I have, yeah, the receiver, because this is has telemetry, so it's also emitter, transmitter, not only receiver. Camera, so yeah, basically you need to think of the best layout to have a minimum distance between all the parts. And on a mini quad, this is not so easy, like on a big FPV plane, like a Bixler for example. Again, like I said, I prepared the wiring for the FPV camera. I pre-mounted the camera. It's a Sony TVL camera with OSD. I pre-mounted it on the bracket, and this will be attached here in the front basically. Of course, some of you guys maybe don't want to fly FPV, and then you don't need this, it will be just the bracket, but I think the most funny part of the mini quads is fly FPV until they will finally ban it, maybe also here in Eastern Europe, because I don't know really, with all the crazy guys posting wild videos flying where they are not supposed to fly, governments will take tougher regulations by law, and slowly I think they will ban this beautiful sport. But okay, I hope it will still not happen very soon, so we can still enjoy some of it. But yeah, like a lesson for all, we should fly really responsible and basically try to be as stealth as possible. Yeah. Okay, back to the topic now. After this is done, next step would be to bind your receiver with your transmitter, with your radio, and basically open your desktop or laptop and download the CC3D interface software and connect it via USB and start the programming and the final setup. We'll be back shortly. Okay guys, after connecting all the cables for the motors and back to the receiver, like here, basically you can move on to the last step, which is connecting your flight controller to the computer, desktop, laptop, whatever you have. In my case is laptop, and start the wizard in the OpenPilot GCS, which means ground control system. So for a new setup, you just connect it. You check here to see that the connection is on. You see TXRX, the data package that it's sent back and forth between the computer and the flight controller. So let's click on Vehicle Setup Wizard. Okay, must remove all propellers. At this moment the board in the quad is powered only via the USB connection from my laptop, so nothing can happen, but it's safer to remove all the propellers because later it happened to me, maybe to some of you also, you can get really nasty cuts from props. Okay, just remove the propellers. Click on next. Normally here you upgrade if you have a flight control that just came from the kit. In my case I just updated the firmware a few seconds ago. So if it's new from the kit, received, hit upgrade because definitely there's a new version available. If you already upgrade, just skip, go with next. For the identification, in this case, if the board is already connected and detected, you don't have to do anything. If not, disconnect and reconnect. In this case, you just click next. PWM if you have one cable for each channel, which is my case. PPM if you have one cable for all channels, not the case now. Choose whatever configuration you need, so in this case it's multi-rotor. Like mentioned before, CC3D is assigning this order, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Of course 1 and 2 spin towards the front, so clockwise, counterclockwise. Number 3 clockwise, 4 counterclockwise. So this order you'll have to check that the motor spin accordingly, otherwise, like I said before, you need to reverse any of the two cables that go to the motor. Okay, I have this kind of ESC, so basically Simon K and this kind of ESC will be the rapid one. It has higher refresh rate. So regarding connection diagram, this is what I used, so anybody can just have a read here. So it shows basically the B connector. The first three normally is the throttle, black ground, red plus, white signal. Then you have the roll channel, peak, pitch, yaw, and the flight mode that will allow you to basically change the flight mode. Next, okay, now it needs to record the level, so I will just click on calculate, just make sure the flight controller is put correctly and the quad is as flat and as horizontal as it can be. You have to wait a few seconds, it shows a message saying done, just click on next. Now it's the funny part when funny, yeah, if you have props could be funny, if not it's normal. The system needs to know the minimum and the maximum values of the throttle. So in this case, just do what it says, just make sure you have no props attached, and when it's needed you have to prepare the battery to connect. So in this case, yes, start, and now it says battery on. Now I'll have to connect the battery. Yeah, okay. Then when the beeps, press the stop button. Okay, goes to this. Okay, finished. It says disconnect battery. I will not disconnect it. I'll show you later why. Output calibration, the level of the signal controlling the vehicle. So you'll see what will happen now. You'll have to set up the minimum values for each motor. So motor number 1. Be careful that when I click start, and by moving the slider, the motor will move to the lowest position. It will spin when signal is on. So don't get scared. So in this case, around 1122. You can hear it. Okay. Stop. Go to the next one. It's really important to set it up to a stable value, so not the value that it just starts spinning. number 3, and number 4. Okay, next. Now it's important to choose a suitable setup with what you have. So in my case, let me see, I have 6-inch props. This is what we have in this kit. Okay, 6x3. Okay, let's say we stick with this one, 3S battery, so let's say it will work. Save. Now it will save all your settings, configuration, rebooting. As you can see, there is no more connection here. You hear the sound for Windows detecting new hardware. Okay, and now it asks me to do the transmitter setup wizard. So here is my beloved Taranis. I will turn it on. We'll have to go through this. Okay. Arming settings are set always disarm for your safety. Okay, no problem. And then it says input channel configuration. Next. Okay, acro mode for fixed wing. So I will just click on next. Mode 2, come on to Europe, yes, next. Throttle stick, so it asks for each channel, I move throttle. Then roll stick, I move roll. Then pitch, yaw, as you can see here. Okay, fine, it doesn't detect the yaw channel, I don't know why. Flight mode, okay, it's usually this one. Now the auxiliary are just optional, so you just skip, skip, skip. Now it's important to have all the sticks really in the center. When it's done, okay, the flight mode is not important, just click on next. Now it needs to read the maximum and the minimum value, so you just flip your sticks to whatever position you need. Also flight mode. Basically now it should have recorded everything. Okay, next. Now it asks me which channel should be reversed, so aileron elevator is good. Okay, this is strange. So sometimes you have a funny reading, so as you can see I'm moving the rudder left, right, but the reading is wrong, so I'll have to check later exactly what will happen. Anyway, just make the setup, finish. Sometimes the CC3D has this funny behavior. Click on next. And save your setup here. Until you solve the issue, if you have any, just click on the left it disarmed, and later on when you have the correct function, finish the setup. So here you can see the minimum, the maximum values, and the neutrals. So basically you can see each channel, roll, pitch, yaw, whatever, so it's all here. You can read the values, and then you can choose the flight mode settings, arming settings, what combination you have, yaw left, yaw right, and so on. Output, here again you can see the channel. When you click test outputs, the motors will spin like I showed you earlier, so don't be very much scared when you do this. Neat feature that I wanted to show you is, in order to be more accessible on the USB, I turned the board to the right, so I have easy access. But in order to have the correct orientation, we just have to click here EO90. So with this setting, basically when you look at the OK, I didn't level it. Now it will level. Oh, sorry, the board was not perfectly fixed, so just flipped a little bit. Okay, so this is the front. So even if the board is turned right 90 degrees, I still have correct reading. Here is the more advanced settings, but I recommend not to touch it yet. This is the setting for the gimbal and TXPID. So basically this is the last step that you needed to do. Just make sure the readings are correct for the transmitter, and that would be all. We'll see us shortly after I clean a little bit the wiring. Bye bye.